Hey friends, how's it going? Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Hope that you're doing well. A new fragrance has entered the ring to battle for Elixir supremacy. None other than this one, Hugo Boss the scent Elixir. That's right. Hugo Boss said, yeah, it's all great that we have Boss bottled Elixir, but we need more Elixir. Look what you did, Dior. You came out with Sauvage Elixir. Now everybody's got one. And this is not the only Elixir that has been announced at the beginning of the year. Oh no, there's more coming. And I'm sure later on this year, there's gonna be even more announced. I will be shocked if there's not at least 2 more Elixir fragrances announced by the end of the year. And who knows, maybe there's gonna be more like 5 or 6 or 7, but that doesn't matter because right now all that matters is this. So the scent is a line of fragrances really well known for Meninka, the note of Meninka, and yet this new release does not have that as an official note. Go figure. The note that they used in pretty much every fragrance really as the focal point, they said no more. But we'll get into that more in a second. As usual, we're gonna take a look at this presentation, talk about the fragrance, all that good stuff. And before we do take a look at this presentation, I would like to remind you once again of these beautiful codes over here. If you shop at any of these websites, do use these codes to save some cheddar. Fragflex has a new code, GS11, that will get you 11% off the entirety of your order on the website. So do use GS11 if you shop there. Gents 10 is good on both Twisted Lily and Max Aroma. Max Aroma, some fragrances, Gents 20 will get you 20% off, but not all of them. If that doesn't work, try Gents 10. And then Ashton 40 for 40 bucks off at Precious Liquid. Let's do the presentation. Start off with the box here. You have the name of the house, name of the fragrance, size and concentration on the front there. Mine is a 100 ml size. Parfum Intense is the concentration. It says Boss up top. On the back you have your ingredients and a little description about the fragrance. A rich, highly concentrated interpretation of the original fragrance, an alluring blend of red hot pimento, carnal Caledonian sandalwood, and vibrant lavender absolute inflames the senses. Carnal Caledonian, little tongue twister almost. On the bottom you have your badge code and your barcode. My badge code is 3326. And here we have a look at the bottle. One thing about this that I don't like quite as much is on the other bottles, as you can see on this one here, it almost looks caged, where you have these differences in color to kind of break up the glass, make it look a little bit more eye-catching. Here, it's just all one shade, and I don't like that quite as much. Not a huge deal, but I think maybe it would have looked a little better if you had like gold going down right there instead of just all this deep red. Again, not a big deal at the end of the day. I just think it would have made it pop. You know, it pops. Yeah. So on the front of the bottle, you have the name of the house, name of the fragrance, and the flanker name as well. It has, as I said before, this kind of deep red coloration with some gold accents on the cap there. On the sticker, you have your badge code, and the cap clicks into place. You know what time it is. Time to blast out a few sprays. Here we go. Now these are my first impressions because this just came in earlier today. I sprayed it on as soon as it came in, let it dry down, sprayed it on again, but still, this is the first day that I have owned this. So again, take everything I say here with the understanding that it's my first impression. This fragrance continues the trend that some fragrance houses have been doing with only giving you 3 notes. One in the top, one in the mid, one in the base. So with this one, you have, as it says here, pimento in the top, sandalwood in the base, and then lavender right in the mid there. Now to some people like myself, that's a little bit frustrating, I guess, just because sometimes it is helpful to get a fuller picture of what the fragrance is, and it helps, in my opinion, breathe a little more life into the fragrance where you have at least a few other things there to kind of flesh out the story of what the scent is. At least that's how I interpret it. Other people don't mind at all, and they like having just the 3 notes and kind of simplifying things and tidying it up. Ultimately, not a huge deal either way. If the fragrance smells good, it smells good. If it smells bad, it smells bad. The note breakdown at the end of the day does not determine whether it's good or not. Although I will throw out there really quickly, because I have seen this crop up from time to time, the reason that fragrance houses are simplifying is not because they're trying to keep their fragrances from being cloned. Just to really quickly put that out there. Clone houses do not look at a note breakdown and go, I know exactly how to make that now. That's not how it works. They would take the fragrance, run it through a GC machine, and then hand that off to somebody to make their own version, or they would just hire a perfumer to do it, you know, these larger clone houses. But we're not gonna get into that right now, just kind of throwing that out there because sometimes people will be like, oh, that's the reason. It's not. So yeah, with that having just 3 notes and none of those notes being Meninka, does this even smell like the scent fragrance? Well, the answer to that is yes, it does. When you first spray this one on, you get a good dose of that pimento, of that very spicy, sweet, kind of slightly fresh, a tinge aromatic, just all coming out right off the top. Smells really, really appealing, and it does have a good blast coming from that pimento, so it really grabs your attention as soon as you spray this on. The sweetness is not overdone, but it is a little bit more on the fruity side initially. As it dries down, that lavender comes out, and you do have like sort of a Meninka kind of vibe in there, but it's not the same as it was in all the other scent fragrances. That sort of dustiness that you get from Meninka a lot of the time, that is not here to me. Maybe for a faint fleeting second from the opening into the mid, you might be like, oh, is that? Oh, no, it's not. So that dustiness to me, that kind of exotic fruitiness from the Meninka, that's really tamped down here, and you just pick it up kind of fleetingly. So it's not there like it was in the scents, but there's still enough of it that you can tell this is a scent. I know it's kind of weird the way the name works. The lavender in here smells great. It has a nice classy edge to it. Smells a little bit more grown up than the other scent fragrances to me. It also smells of higher quality, a little bit smoother, less synthetic the way it comes across. The other ones have never really smelled cheap, but this one does smell like it's elevated a bit. And as you head through the mid, those warm, ambery vanilla vibes that it has, combined together with that lavender, it smells amazing in the air. This stuff smells awesome. Like all day as I've been wearing this, I've just wanted to reapply, reapply. It really smells great in the air. Just like top notch, fantastic. But anyway, you have that vanilla ambery lavender thing going on, and then a residual fruity kind of sweetness from the opening. So this very pleasant mix of, like I said before, a classier side of things with enough sweetness that it's really going to get people's attention. And it has an almost gourmand edge through the mid at times, depending on, you know, different wafts, different times that I've caught the fragrance in the air. It has smelled, you know, maybe a little bit nutty, which reminds me of some other things, a little maybe caramelly at times. And again, this is through the mid, and that's going to potentially remind you of some other fragrances out there. It does not smell the same as anything out there to me, but it's gonna be kind of in that wheelhouse, like a familiar wheelhouse for men's fragrances coming out nowadays that are trending more toward fall and winter time use. You know, ambery, vanilla sort of fragrances have really been on the come up here over the past couple years, and this slots in with those. And I'll tell you, heading through the mid, I was like, sandalwood? I don't think so. You know, this is really vanilla, amber, lavender, a little bit of fruits, a little sweetness, touch of that spice that, you know, lingers over from the opening into the mid, and maybe some faint Meninka-ish vibes along the edges. But when you hit the dry down, it very subtly changes from the mid into the dry down, and it does start to get some of that woodiness that comes out. And I'll tell you, to me, maybe in the dry down, just a touch of that dusty Meninka residue is there alongside that sandalwood. And it doesn't really go full creamy. You know, that sandalwood, a lot of times people will say, oh, it's creamy, milky, sweet, whatever. But here, it actually leans more toward the woody side of things, and it provides a really nice base for everything kind of come and rest on. Again, it maintains that classiness all the way through. The sweetness kind of fades off a bit as it hits the far dry down. There's still enough of it there that it's extremely pleasing. It's just not as sweet as it was off the top and the mid, which is really intriguing here because it very clearly has 3 stages. The opening is not the same as the mid is not the same as the dry down, but the way that it kind of goes through that, very subtle, and before you know it, you're smelling it and you're going, oh, that's pretty different than it was, you know, 30 minutes ago. A lot of times with fragrances, the changes, it's a much smoother transition than a lot of fragrances that I've smelled over the past couple years. So for me, this is one that right off the first time I smelled it, first time I wore it today, I have been in love with this. Like I said, I just keep wanting to reapply it. And I'm trying to let it stay on for a number of hours before I do reapply. That way I'm not just, you know, spraying right over top, right over top, right over top. Because I essentially sprayed it on over here and let that dry down. And then when that was like, you know, 3-4 hours in, it was like, okay, let's spray it on over here, do the whole thing over again. And it's addictive. It smells great. It's very classy, like I said, but still has that nice little touch of sweetness. It's not overdone. When you first spray it on, it has almost a little like sugary sweetness in with that pimento, but that fades pretty quick. And then it starts to get into that warmer, richer side of things. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I think this is the pinnacle right now of the scent. I think I put this right there, right at the top for me. And look, I know like the whole elixir thing, it's played out. Everybody's got elixirs. There's more elixirs coming for sure. But it does feel like these brands are saying, look, let's put our best foot forward. You know, let's ramp up quality. Let's increase the price per kilogram. Let's put something out that's rich, something that is, you know, a little higher end, but still is very wearable. And that's what this is. So the scent elixir for me, this goes right up to the top of the scent line. Magnetic I thought was very good, but I would choose this over magnetic right now. Now performance, which has been a big thing for elixir fragrances, obviously, you know, higher concentration, higher performance. I just got this in today and I've just been wearing it around. I have not gone out, you know, I've not tried to wear this out in the cold or anything like that. So I can't really speak on performance. Seems to be lasting well. It's projecting pretty well. It's lasting well, but you know, I can't, you know, sit here and tell you it's gonna last 8+ hours. This is just the first time I've worn it. And like I said, I haven't gone anywhere. I've just been hanging out. So I apologize for that. I'll do a review at some point and then have a better grasp on how it performed, but I'm not disappointed at least. Like I said, I sprayed this on probably at this point 5 hours or so ago. I can still pick it up. It's not projecting like a monster or anything, but I can still pick it up pretty easily. It's not gonna be as strong, I would say, as like Lamal Elixir or Sauvage Elixir for sure, but it's not gonna be weak either. At least that's what I'm picking up. As far as seasons, that is more fall and winter time. Daytime or evening, though most people would say leans evening, I would imagine, because of the way that this one opens up as it dries. Just a killer scent. Really, really nice. The only drawback that I could think of for somebody else, which is not a drawback for me with this one, is that if you're looking for something that kind of does something new, pushes it in a new direction, does not follow along with what's been done here lately over the past couple of years with men's fragrances, especially for fall and winter time, they would be disappointed in this most likely, because it is essentially taking the scent DNA and then pushing it along with what's been done here recently and saying, okay, let's kind of get in that wheelhouse right there. Again, very well done. Just, you could smell this and pick out like a little from there, a little from there, a little from there, a little from there of a bunch of different releases, but it doesn't smell exactly like any of them. So the scent elixir, love this stuff. Absolutely smells killer. Thank you guys for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys later.